In this session, I will talk about IPv4 addresses. And for convenience, I'm just going to refer to them as IP addresses. An IP address exists at the network layer or the layer 3 of the OSI model. This IP address is of 32 bits, and with 32 bits we get 2 raised to the power 32 unique values, which is somewhat more than 4 billion values. The 32 bits are divided into 4 equal parts. First 8 bits, second 8 bits, third 8 bits, and fourth 8 bits. And each of these 8 bits is separated by a dot. And that is why we call an IP address as represented as dotted decimals. Now, we say that IP address is of 32 bits and divided into 4 equal parts. Now, with 8 bits, we know the minimum value is 0 and the maximum value is 255. And that is where, when we say, take an example, 192.168.10.1 is a valid IP address. Why? Because if you look at the first octet or the first byte, the value is 192. It is in the range 0 and 255, and that is why it is valid. If you look at the second byte or the second octet, the value is 168. Again, it is between 0 and 255. The third octet, the value is 10. Again, it lies between 0 and 255. And then the last octet is 1, which again is valid because it falls under the range of 0 to 255. I interchangeably use the terms 8 bits, octet, or byte. So these are synonymous or mean the same thing. So don't get confused if sometime I'm using the word octet or byte or 8 bits. You need to get habitual and used to using these terms interchangeably. Let us now take an example to identify which IP address is valid and which is invalid. So let's look at the option A. And before I look at the option A, the thing that one needs to remember is each octet, the value should be between 0 and 255, and 0 and 255 inclusive. So if the value is from anywhere from 0 to 255 for any octet, then that octet has a valid value. But if any of the octets has a value which is outside the range 0 to 255, then it will result in the IP address getting considered as invalid. So let's look at the option A. Here it says as 12.10.257.14. Now let's observe each byte at a time, single byte at a time. So the first byte is 12, falls under 0 to 255, good. Second byte is 10, falls under the range 0 to 255, good. The third byte value is 257, and this is which is outside the range 0 to 255, and hence will result in this IP address being considered as an invalid IP address. Moving to the option B, it says 0.0.0.0. Here each octet, the first, second, third, and fourth, each of them has a value of 0, which is totally fine because it satisfied our condition that each value of each of the octets has to be within 0 and 255. So this is totally fine. This has a special or unique, this IP address has a unique and a special usage. It is used for default routes, and it is also used for when PCs come up, they have to use DHCP for requesting an IP address. Don't have to worry about those. We'll come to that when we discuss those topics. Moving on to option C, it says 255.255.255.255. Again, using the same logic for determining the values, whether they are in the range, all the 4 octets satisfy the condition, and that is the reason this IP address is also a valid IP address. A quick note, this IP address is used for broadcasts, and again, once we discuss about broadcast addresses, we'll come to that and discuss this in more detail.